can I just chime in on the statistics when the birth rates? I mean, I don't know if everybody here knows who Nipsey Hussle is, or who he was, but for all of you, he's American. But I met him about 20 years ago. His father's Eritrean. I was in Eritrea with him. But for all of you, he's an American. So just to make sure that just because if you're black in America, that doesn't mean that you have 100% African American heritage. You can have parents that are from Africa, other parts. And the African population is growing. In a couple of decades, there'll be 4 billion people in Africa. Europe isn't growing. So for what you said, Pepe, by statistics, if it's a boxing match, the guy standing is the guy winning. I'm not all for this race war, white, black, whatever, Hispanics. But statistically, the black man is the first guy here. He's going to be the last guy standing. It's just statistics.
What do you mean last standing? What are you talking about? And how does that play into statistics? I clearly missed something.
Statistics, when you're talking about birth rates, 2% here, 3% there, that doesn't matter if Africa is growing at the rate Africa is growing. If Africans send 200 million to America, Europe ain't sending nothing anymore. Because Argentina used to be like 50% black, but they killed all the black people. All the black guys were in the army. The rest of them fled to Argentina. So if Africa did what Europe did, then it will be all over today. But statistically, Europe is not producing white people anymore. And most of South America, Central America, have African blood in them. So just by the nature, black people are going to be here. Asians and black people are going to be the people standing in 100 years.
Not even Asians. Let me just say this: that Nipsey Hussle was half FBA. His mother was Louisiana Creole. But by the 22nd century, 1 out of 3 humans on planet Earth will be African. There will be 3 billion Africans on the continent of Africa alone. The fastest growing population in the world is sub-Saharan Africa. Or I don't even use that word sub-Saharan because it's pseudo in anthropology, they don't need that term anymore. But in so-called sub-Saharan Africa, it's the fastest growing population. Not North Africa, not East Africa, sub-Saharan Africa.
How is it pseudo? I mean, it just means you come from. It means the people that come from south of the Saharan desert. Which is true.
I don't want to go into it. It's pseudo, and anthropologists don't even use it anymore.
The North used to be black, all black.
They built all the pyramids, of course.
Well, so that's not even a point. And so hold on. And so by 2050, so as an example, by 2050, the Asian population is going to decline, right? China's population, India's population is going to reach its peak and it's going to go on a steady decline. That's just the reality. And that's partly due to China's one-child rule that they did that really hurt them in terms of population and reaching that peak by 2050. So yes, by 2100, by the turn of the 22nd century, we will see that 1 out of 3 people on planet Earth will be African. So the African population will dominate the population on planet Earth. Not only that, by 2050, Africa will have what the so-called sub-Saharan Africa will have the youngest working population on planet Earth, which is very interesting.
White people had to go into the continent of Africa and drill wells.
White people didn't do any of that. If anything, white people were the disease.
My point is, Abe, hold on. Let me ask you a question. At all these numbers, what percentage is mixed race? Because there's more mixed race people in the world now than ever before.
Yeah, mixed race people will continue to grow, but overwhelmingly, sir, JB is your name, sir, and all due respect, yes, 1 out of 3 people by the 22nd century will be African, and the sub-Saharan population will dominate the continent. in terms of numbers, and they will spread. They will do through immigration. They will continue to spread throughout the world, in Europe and all that. So that's likely where you'll start to see the population of biracials or mixed people grow in Europe, and some in the so-called Americas, mostly in Europe though, and in some places in Asia. But the Asian, I'm just speaking specifically to the in the uptick. Asia's population will begin to decline by 2050, particularly China. And then the incline will happen in sub-Saharan Africa. And in terms of Europe,
Dude, you said 30 seconds. You've been doing 30 minutes here, man. Oh, hold on, because I got other people on stage that haven't even spoken yet, bro. I promise I'll get back to you.
Quick question.
Now you want to say something?
Yeah, quick question, and I'm not even trying to be funny. Anybody have a theory on what percentage of the population, by what you said, Abe said 2030 or 2050? I think he said 2050. Anybody have a theory on what percentage of the population will be transhumanist? Because we are living in this, age of technology, the emergence of man and machine. What percentage of the population will be, half human, half Terminator? Because y'all think it's going to be the blacks and the Asians will be the last standing. I think
that was your thing, bro.
I can
remember
answer that
season
question.
1, bro. Answer the question.
Yeah, I can answer it. I mean, we don't have any data on that. We do know that transhumanists. We do? Okay.
Yeah, so I have a video clip on it. It's pretty long, but it goes in. I can put it in the chat. Basically, our scientists are saying that within 1,000 years, I know that's a long time, but within 1,000 years, half of the population will be integrated with some kind of robotics.
We are now. We have iPhones. They're part of our lives. They're like our sixth finger, third hand. You guys can't put your phones down.
But he's talking about
when the neural link kicks in.
I know what he's talking about.
Wait, I already have a third link.
Would you guys shut up for a second and let somebody else talk?
Yeah,
I want to say hello to MJ, because
what's up,
MJ? Hold on a second. I got you, bro. I was wondering what took you so long to come to the stage, but whatever. I'm gonna go to MJ, then I want to get full Luke involved. MJ, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, when the neural link kicks in, we won't have to have appendages. We won't have to sit up here and type into the phone. We can just think thoughts, and things start to happen. We will have our lenses in, be able to see things, make decisions. It'll be a pretty interesting time. I hope I live.
Thank you, MJ. Hold on. No, go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying I'm voting for the robots. Humans are too destructive. Not that the robots won't be, because I think they'll turn on the humans. But humans hate each other. They hate themselves. They're at war constantly with God, nature, biology. So either the rapture is going to take us out, or the AIs, the ex machinas. And I'm here for it. By the way, for the record, I identify as a Time Lord. Just call me Dr. Who. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you, Dr. Who.
Yeah, I put that link in the chat for you guys.
Thank you. Can I go to Foluk? Because Foluk hasn't spoken. Am I saying your name right? Foluk? He waits on stage for an hour and then leaves when I try to reach him. Hold on, Michael. I'm going to go to Mother, then Othello, then you. Michael, Mother, go ahead.
So, not really related to the transhumanist argument, but more of like the room title. So I actually think that this conversation is really interesting, because I was in that room this morning, JP, where I think originated this, and I think what I was saying, I actually said this last week. Love to use on this app anyone that they don't agree with. They love to tag them as being a racist on this app, and it's actually like that behavior has spread like COVID on this app. Everyone does it. And it kind of devalues the term entirely when you actually, now I question people who are constantly calling other people racist. Is like, are all these people that you're labeling actually racist, right? It actually, I don't believe it anymore.
Nicholas, did you see how many people were calling me racist? How crazy was that?
There was like 10 people in there, or I don't know, 10 isn't it, but I was reading the chat, right? But I was caught off guard with it, but it also points to a bigger problem on this app. Anyone who is somewhat conservative, anyone who has any viewpoint that is not agreeing with Democrats is a racist on this app, and that is a problem. And I said that actually in that room, in that same space, that people in that room have a problem with doing this about a week ago. And I got so much... Hey, JB, can I just address a joke tonight?
Hold on 1 second. No.
It's just a joke.
Oh no, hold your jokes. I want to go for Luke. For Luke a chance. For Luke, for Luke, are you there? Hello, you got to unmute, hon. It's the bottom right. Yeah, Rich, tell your funny joke.
Nye, I just want to say this joke, and I know all the racist black people are going to get really mad, but I am the master.
I love you. We're friends now.
Look at all the black people. Did he just say he's the master?
I get what he's saying. Okay.
I'm the master.
All right, masturbator. We're going to go
It's
to
Dr.
Michael. Michael Gadd.
Yeah, I was just gonna comment on that Neanderthal thing because a couple of miles from my village in the mountains of Eritrea, we have like 200,000-300,000 year old like tools, like obsidian tools. And I mean, I remember when we mixed with that Neanderthal, that was a bad goddamn mistake. So the problem was when we mixed with that Neanderthal. That's just what I want to say.
Thank you very much.
Look at all the Whovians in the chat.
Who cares? No pun intended. Othello, you want to chime in, Othello? You've been quiet for a whole 3 minutes.
JB, I don't know what your problem is with me, man. I don't speak over anybody. I just flash my mic when I want to talk. But no, I don't have much to say. I'm just enjoying the conversation. Thank you.
Let me tell you something. If I don't bust your chops, that means I don't like you. If I'm busting your chops, I like to respect you. I got you, kid.
Thank you.
Hello? Can anyone hear me? This is for Luke.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Thank God. Your phone works.
I have been struggling forever. This is my first time here this afternoon. And I am super excited with everything I've been hearing. But I just there is one thing that somebody talked about at the time. There has been so many things I've had that I actually wanted to talk about, but I'm probably not going to talk about them anymore because of time and other stuff. But the platform has been highly educative. And, but what baffles me most, because I live in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, to be precise, but originally from Nigeria. And, what baffles me most of the time is how, before coming to this country, there's a way I perceive the black and white. Of course, I never know what is called racism. All we know over there is tribalism, And even the origin of tribalism, I have no clue. I have no idea what was going on. We just discover one tribe tried to oppress the other, different things. And then one tribe, when I got to this country a couple of years ago, I now discovered, oh my goodness, what is going on in the world is even better than what I saw over there back home. And for the first time, so many things I discovered, especially during anyways, I don't want to go into stories and histories, but I appreciated everything I've heard. This stuff is highly educative, but what baffles me most of the time is the inability of the black people to even come together as one. And that bothers me all the time. That how can we get a situation? Thank God for internet. Because internet, people can, the world has become a global village. People from any part of the world can come together and, do great things together, even without even living together.
What tribe are you from, for Luke?
I'm Yoruba, but it doesn't matter. Coming over to this part of the world, I don't even look at me anymore. All I try to see is a black person, is a black woman. And that if other people like the Indians have discovered how closely packed together they are, you can hardly enter into their midst. It will take them to trust you so much before they can, you can do anything with them. They do things within, even though they live far apart from India. But with black, especially Nigerians or sub-Saharan Africa, like you call it, they are the most loose type of human beings I've seen. We're just loose all over the places, trying to copy. Although I discovered, the way people behave is due to, a lot of the way we've been colonized mind. Our minds have been colonized. We don't believe in our things. We believe more in, in the whites. It's just a lot going on. But I don't want to talk about all that. But what bothers me most of the time is if others can stick together, what is stopping the Africans, all the black people, especially in America? I don't care where you come from, whether you're from Ethiopia, Eritrea, or Nigeria, or, it doesn't matter.
Oh, thank you.
Is it religion? Religion shouldn't split us because we have our own way of worship before they bring all these religions to divide. It's all about divide and rule.
Thank you.
So that people should be able to open their eyes, to see beyond religion.
Thank you very much. I have a question for the room. If anybody, why hasn't she been called a coon for what she's saying? Because an American black said that they'd be called a coon.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, Miss Faluk, racism is just tribalism. That's all it is.
She said, why can't black Americans do that? I guess get on code and love each other and get along, because for that reason, Miss, black Americans, and not all, but we see the conversation and the rhetoric. For some odd reason, we have this distrust in our community. Yeah. We don't love each other. Exactly. Enough is enough. We need to re-educate ourselves. We've left so many things.
Yeah, but JB did make a really good point. Now, if she was FBA, she'd be called a bed wench. She'd be called a traitor.
100%, most especially by black liberals. Mm-hmm. Listen, I get called a coon and a maggot and a trumpet all the time by black liberals on this app because I seemingly have conservative views. You find that a lot of black Americans, because they lean left, okay? If you don't think like them, talk like them, pray like them, eat like them, you know what I'm saying? I'm being a little exaggerating here, but they want you to have that, I shouldn't say worker bee, share that same ideology that keeps them always blaming everyone for their problems. Blaming the white man, but blaming the black woman. It's all the same rhetoric. I get on this soapbox all the time. We're at the point where you have black people saying that if you're a black woman and you want to get married and have babies, you're a pick me. You have black people telling black men if they want to date and court women and get to know women and be kind to women, they're a simp. We have a very disturbing mental illness permeating in our community that truly needs to be a case study. We're the type of people that will fight to the death to be in spaces that don't want us instead of building up our own spaces and communities. You have black people who will say they don't want to support black, right? They don't want to support black businesses. They don't trust black women, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? But at the same time, and then when we come on this app and try to, I don't know how many black people in this room have been in black spaces where we try to come together to talk about the problems that plague our community while at the same time presenting solutions, and we have a million excuses about why the solutions will never work, right? So when I've heard some, not on this space, but I've heard the argument or the debate that, in 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, black people, black Americans, specifically foundational black Americans are still here, that the Asians and the Latinos will outnumber us. I believe it 100%. Look at where we are now. They say by 2030, the average income for the black family will be at zero. Nobody likes to talk about that. Nobody likes to even, and if you talk about it in the wrong space, we get mad, right? We can't even have honest discussions because everybody gets mad. I think it was Mike who said earlier, and Mike, if it wasn't you, forgive me, and I'll land here. I think it was Mike who said earlier, before Sid came in the room, he said the only reason why we're allowed to have these discussions, or that white voices, and I'm paraphrasing here, are allowed to have discussions like this, have these discussions with diverse voices, is if Sig was hosting the room. This is before Sig came in, because Sig allows for, diverse voices. If it was a black space hosting this room and white voices came up, they would immediately call the white person racist. Mike, I meant to say this at the time. If I was hosting a space and allowed diverse voices to come up to the space and speak, I would get pushed back too. I would be called a traitor, a race traitor, a coon. I got called a dirty cave bitch in this very room last week for defending a black gay man. So we're a race of people that hate each other. And I said what I said.
Well, thank you. Now let me jump in real quick, before I get you, because I have to. I have to ask Albert. Albert, man, I love you like a fat kid loves cake, but what the hell are you wearing, dude?
Oh man, it was a picture my son took for Father's Day. Actually,
Happy Father's Day, man.
What'd you say, Jay?
Yeah.
I asked him what Albert's a friend. I consider Albert a friend, and I was busting his chops about what he's wearing in this picture. I had no idea what that is. But Albert, you want to chime in before I go to sit?
Yeah, this is we have Black Americans, African Americans, whatever we choose to designate ourselves. We have a unique history here. It's called chattel slavery. That is quite different from continental Africans, even though we share the same ancestry. And it has put us in a precarious position. And one of the major reasons is because of the plantation. We've had to assimilate to a culture that oppressed us, and we've now internalized. And the way that we operate, and the way that we think, and the way that we feel lacks cultural integrity because of assimilation. And so we have a hard time coming to grips with our identity. It's to this point where we have splinter groups that are pointed towards an attempt to identify who we are, such as ADOS, FBA. We always tried to figure out a means of coalescing under one identification, but it's been very difficult because the effects of chattel slavery have caused the disruption. I personally do not believe that there's self-hate. I believe that we've been disenfranchised and dispersed within this history that is just, we're desensitized to who we are culturally because we have a history of slavery.
See, and respectfully, sir, that's my thing about it. I get it. But I do wonder, will we ever evolve to the point where we don't blame slavery for everything? Here's the thing. I will always acknowledge our history, and I will never minimize that. But I find it so intriguing sometimes that, specifically on this app, if you're Black and you spend an unhealthy amount of time on this app like I do, you are aware, hopefully, of the number of clubhouse rooms hosted by Black people, and all they spew is Black hatred. And then we come in spaces like this and claim it's not happening. Or we play dumb, and I'm not saying that's your case, Albert, that we don't know when I say these things and point these things out, it's not happening, we don't know what's happening, we pretend like it's not happening. I find it so if it wasn't so sad and intriguing, I probably would be entertained, but I'm not. Because that's part of the rhetoric. We will host spaces and spew anti-Black rhetoric all day and blame each other for all our problems, and then come in spaces like this and say, that's not happening. What are you talking about? We'll blame Reaganomics, slavery, white oppression, Asian oppression, everything under the sun, but at the same time saying it's not happening. And right now, someone is giving me a side eye and thinking she's a bedwitch. That's how we do things, right? So I don't know. We gotta make our minds up here. Either the shit's happening or it's not happening.
And why? You can't take it.
Wait a second, gentlemen. I should address Albert, and I just will say this: in my opinion, Albert runs some of the best spaces on this app. Okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I will never invalidate what you're saying. Clubhouse can be unhealthy, but I've taken my own personal extended effort. My spaces have been respectful, consistent. Anyone, JB has always come to my spaces, and I've always respected him as a man that he is. And I don't have the problems in my space. Clubhouse is not a reflection of people in the tangible world. Unfortunately, people in the tangible world come here and abuse the space. And that's unfortunate, but that's the way of the world. I go out of my way to delineate what is going on in the tangible world from what happens here. Here is a facsimile, and I can definitely empathize and relate to your experience on Clubhouse, but curators like myself have made a personal effort to make sure that if you come in a space like mine, it's going to be, I'm a humanist, and we're going to respect humanity in my space.
But Albert, let me ask you a question. Respect for Abe, I got you. So let me just ask this one question. You've been on this app for a minute, as have I. You don't think this app is a microcosm of the real world?
In some aspects, yes. I think so. I think in some aspects, yes, but in others, no. No. In other areas, no. But there's a bit of anonymity that gives a lot of leeway to the behavior. A lot of these actions and disrespect and bad decorum, JB, you wouldn't be doing it outside. Some would be in jail. Others would be fired at their jobs. Other people would just not deal with you. I think that this is promoted throughout the app. Unfortunately, it is what it is, but this is human nature. So, but I wouldn't say it wasn't. It isn't a level of microcosm here. I would not deny that.
Thank you. Let me go to Abe. Okay.
Yeah. So, NY, you have to look at any population that you take and you enslave them for 400 plus years. You dehumanize them. You create an entire science around the notion of them being non-human. You codify in law that they're non-human. You create a religion around the idea of them being non-human that the dominant society practices. You put in the institutional systems that this particular population of people are non-human. Right, so in every facet of society, these people are classified as non-human for 400 plus years. And then after what? You give them 50 years or 60, let's say 55 years of somewhat of so-called full autonomy, and then not expect that there are going to be issues that don't arise out of that population. But even when you give them so-called autonomy, you still have systems in place that discriminates and that considers them to be still non-human. And the ideas of what you created in science still is pervasive today, like the John Hopkins study that showed where they deal with 425,000 healthcare professionals, and doctors and nurses overwhelmingly said that Black people, these are doctors and nurses, nurse practitioners, people with bachelor's degrees in medicine, in terms of nursing, and doctors that said that Black people can withstand higher levels of pain, and that they don't give pain medicine to Black people because it's easier for Black people to become addicted, and they believe that most of the time when Black people come in or they complain about pain, it's because they want to get high. So I mean, this and to say, well, we are blaming it on slavery when we still see the effects society and all our forms of institutions that underpin this country, still believing in racist tropes that go back to slavery, that actually predate the antebellum South. So yes, just like these institutions still hold on to race science that was created or ideas that were created 120, 150, 200 years ago, yes, we're still going to be reeling from 400 years of slavery and really only 50 years of being considered fully human. 50 years. Out of 400 years, actually out of 500 years, 50 years that we've been considered as somewhat fully human. But actually, socially, we're not considered because these notions still underpin, these institutions still underpin our society, which pushes these tropes non-human. And we see it in the public square. We literally can see Ben Shapiro having conversations with other intelligent white people, saying basically that Black people just have low IQs and that we're not capable of reaching past that reality, and we have to be accepting of that.
Hey, man, I love your energy. Legit, no stroke. But you gotta let some things times, bro.
Yeah,
You're dropping gems and gems. Well, I was gonna just go to you real quick, Nye and Sig. I'm bouncing in 5 minutes. You want to keep it open or close it?
We can close it, but I just or that's up to Sig. So let me just ask a question to him. I love you, sir. I love your voice. Everything you've contributed to this room today has been spot on, and I will not argue against any of the points you just made because I agree. But I was highlighting like we as a people don't get along and love each other and trust each other collectively. So my question to you, based on everything you just said, are you suggesting, based on what you just said, all the truths that you just outlined, that these are the reasons why today in 2025, Black Americans collectively, I'm not talking about individual, what we're doing in our friend groups and our families and our churches, collectively, why we don't get along as a people and why we're constantly divided with Black men this, Black men that, except Black women this, Black women that. That's what I meant to say. These are the reasons, because of systems in place, why we still hold each other in so low regard. Is that what you're suggesting? Because that was the point that I was trying to make, why we can't get along in this day and age, right? And we blame everything for these reasons as if we don't have the mental fortitude to rise above all of this, right? We love Jesus and God, and we're in the church. So why today in the 21st century, we're in the age of technology where they can plug a machine up to our brain and we can upload ourselves to the cloud, why we still cannot get along with each other? Are you suggesting because it's the systematic racism and Charlie Kirks of the world? This is just a question so I can get some clarity.
So we have risen above it many times, but we're under constant attack by the state, by political parties, by nefarious entities in this country, organizations, think tanks that are always thinking of ways to undermine our progress, to attack our families, and to attack our communities. We're under constant barrage. There's always entities in this country plotting against us and figuring out how they can use the law and how they can use the state to undermine our families and to harm us. So we're in constant flux because of that, right? And we're the only group that this happens to. They bring people into this country to play buffer classes against us. The whole model minority trope that is used against us is based off of anti-Blackness. Look it up, model minority. It denotes that Black Americans are lazy and don't want to work, and we have a victim mindset, and that's why we're not successful. But here, look at these Asians. They're successful because they don't have that. It is predicated on anti-Blackness. And I will say, when you talk about technology, well, we can't do what you said yet. Can't do that. However, when you look at AI and the development of AI, it is well documented. It is well researched that AI itself, the programmers of AI, the developers of AI, developed biases against Black people within AI. Yes, other minority groups, but particularly Black people when it comes to AI. So yes, every fabric of society, and that's a fact, and no one can prove me wrong on that.
Well, we have the neural links. That's what I was referring
I'd like to jump in.
Yeah, every system that exists and system that is created in this country, including AI, will show you anti-Blackness. Even AI, when you ask AI, is there anti-Blackness within AI? You know what AI will tell you? Yes, there is implicit bias, and it will tell you because the people who developed me or developed AI had biases against Black people, but that because the technology brought other Black people in, there's an attempt to change that reality, right? But AI admits that it's anti-Black.
Chime in.
Go ahead, Albert.
Hold on, Albert. Just give me a second.
Sorry.
Real quick. No, it's okay. Siggy, you gonna keep it open because 9 and I are gonna be bailing in 5 minutes. What do you want to do, Siggy?
Yeah, let's close it up in 5 minutes, man. I got some shit I gotta get into. Yeah.
Albert. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I tend to lean towards things that are quantifiable and qualitative, and not too ambiguous or esoteric. And to answer your question, NY, we endured an Holocaust. There's one thing to understand the system of racism, but the institution of racism. And because the way that white supremacy works, and that's of course the catchphrase that described white Anglo-Saxon Protestant racism, is a system that disperses and disenfranchises any person, any group of people that will oppose a hierarchy. And so when you understand that, and when you think about it, when you ask the direct question of why haven't we achieved what we've done to this point, is because of the literal environment.
Well, no, I'm really asking why we can't get along with each other. And if y'all are suggesting that we can't get along because the white man has said we're not human, so that's what I'm hearing. We don't like each other because the white man has told us we're not human, and so therefore we look at each other as not being human. So that's to put a cap on it. Is that where we are as a race? Because the white man has this power over us.
I'm not going to engage because I can't have proper dialogue. So.
Well, I mean, because that's what you guys keep bringing up, like as if we don't understand the systems of racism, which we do. I'm asking in 2025, we are still blaming the systems of racism why we don't get along as a people. You're suggesting that the white man or the white supremacist system that has said shit and we're lazy and we're not human, that drives our mentality and how we view each other. So we don't get along because we view each other as being not human and lazy. No one is I'm not arguing against systematic racism, right? I understand that's our history. I'm posing why do we not get along with each other? Because the African woman who was on stage, she's still here, Faluke, she asked that. And I said that there's a lack of love in our community and a lack of respect. And we had two very eloquent, articulate, including yourself, Albert, intelligent speakers respond that it's because of systematic racism, that we don't hold each other in high regard. And I find that to be kind of puzzling.
Well, what I understand is when we're having these discussions, there's a thing called decorum. And when we have a fair exchange. And I explained it, but maybe you needed me to clarify it. But what I will not do is honor the lack of decorum. I don't do that. And this is the problem with Clubhouse. I don't do it. We all have input. It doesn't mean that we're going to be exactly right or not. We need each other, the bottom line. And I'm not going to do that. And anyone that comes in my space recognizes that right away. I deal with qualitative and quantitative information. I deal with data and facts. When it gets into philosophy and esotericism, that can slide anywhere. That can go anywhere. So I mean, I'm not minimizing what you're saying. I'm saying we should have some type of decorum in talking about it because it exemplifies exactly what you're talking about. Literally what you're talking about. This is being exemplified right now. Unwillingness to be able to work together and develop a brain trust. We're not mute and dumb.
Hold on.
Can I make a suggestion, please?
Hold on 1 second, ma'am. Then I'm going to hand the mic to you. I'm a little confused. Where is the lack of decorum? Maybe I didn't hear it. Albert, can you tell me where the lack of decorum is?
Yeah. She's asking a question. And Ms. Faluke, with all disrespect.
I'm not asking a question. I want to make some suggestions. You guys can look into it.
Faluke, you gotta hold on, man. The man was speaking. Oh, he left. Man, jeez.
He wasn't saying nothing. God bless him, but he wasn't saying nothing. It was right back. This was my entire point. Every time we bring this stuff up, it's the white man, it's slavery, it's Reaganomics, it's WIC. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to figure out why in 2025 black people don't get along, and they start talking about, well, the white man said we were lazy and 3/5 human. Okay, so is that how we view each other? Is that the answer? Because we view each other as lazy and 3/5 human? I don't. So what do you Negroes be talking about? He left because he had nothing to say, respectfully, and I like Albert. But I'm trying to figure out, when do we evolve past blaming systems of racism on everything? No one is dismissing our history. No one is saying that these institutional races, racism and systematic racism and white supremacy and global colonization does not exist and doesn't continue to impact Black folks and people of color. My question was simple, based off what Faluke was asking. Why in 2025 can Black Americans specifically not get along collectively and build up Blackness? And every time we try to have this discussion, Black people always go to slavery. Slavery is still the problem, okay? We still blame slavery on why we can't get along. And I'm puzzled by that. And I'm yet to have anybody just articulate why I know Black people get triggered. Don't burn down my Starbucks when I say this. Black men shoot each other down in the street, Black on Black crime. So I'm guessing if I ask, why don't Black men love each other, right? I'm not talking about individually. Why don't Black men love each other? Why is the Black on Black crime rate so high? I guess the answer is because the white man said we're lazy and not humans. Okay, guys, gotcha.
Well, Nye, I gotta go. You and Sig, you guys are gonna close in 5 minutes.
Yeah. Can I just make a suggestion, please? One thing is this that I think about all the time. We can always learn. We have learned some things in our lives, in our mind. We've been made to believe in certain different things. But now, can we just have a forum where we can come together and then we can relearn? You unlearn some things you have learned in the past. Life is all about training. Whatever you become today, you'll be trained. Either you train in the school or you learn it on the internet or you learn it in the house. Now, can we unlearn certain things that are that's making us to grow, to the level where the world need to be? And then we now learn new things to replace whatever is hard, in our lives. Because there's a lot of things going on, and I believe learning is a very great one. And then with this, we can pass it down the line. Yeah, because if nothing is done, this trend is going to continue and continue and continue forever, I'm telling you. And that bothers me a lot, because we don't deserve to be who we are. Like, we do not deserve it. We have everything it takes to be the best everywhere we go, and we always excel. But we can do better. Unlearn and relearn. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to be short. Can I speak?
Yeah, go ahead. You're welcome. You got it.
Hey, Sig. Hey, friends. Who was the one, maybe they left, who said, let's just focus on building up Blackness? That's bullshit. If I were to say that and I'm white, I'd be kicked out of the room. Stop that shit. We're all blended.
Wait, you said who said what? Building up Black men?
Blackness.
Oh, okay, got it.
No, let's not focus on that. That's what's got us in the shitter.
No, Black people do need to heal, though. We do need healing. We need a superhero. They killed our brother from Wakanda, the cancer. So we can't count on him.
Nah, they already have a superhero. His name's Jesus. Most people don't know.
Yeah, white Jesus. But white Jesus still hasn't delivered
Jesus of the Levant.
White Jesus still hasn't delivered them from that spirit of feeling like each other's lazy and not human. Feluke, to your point, I think she said something about, can we unlearn? As we have heard on the stage today, right? No, Black people don't want to unlearn anything that will not allow them to use slavery as a crutch to blame why we don't get along with each other, okay? If we can't use our history of enslavement, if we can't use systemic racism as a crutch to lean on in all these conversations to justify why we don't get along, why our communities are falling apart, why we don't have adequate leaders, okay, then we don't want to hear it, as evident by the two speakers who were here and they're no longer here.
My point was, we all have been through a course of slavery. I'm white, Irish, potato slave background. We all have had slavery backgrounds. Time to move on, kids. We got kids who depend on it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest hurdles. I don't think there's ever going to be any mending, because you're always going to have two groups of Black people that
don't have the victim mentality, and then the group of black people do, and it's like oil and water. It's never going to mix. And you're starting to see more black people cross over to the aisle to say, yeah, you know what, this is kind of bullshit. More and more black people are starting to come out now and say, yeah, you know what, I even like the older generation, like when I hang out with my great aunts and great uncles and, you know, all my grandmother's brothers and sisters and all them old fogies, them boomers and shit, like they're even complaining, like, I can't stand this young generation niggas. You niggas are whiners, complainers. You don't take care of your shit. You've let the neighborhood, like even the old black people are sick of this younger generation, right? So I don't think it's ever going to be blended. What I think it's going to take now is more conversations like this out in the open, for people to hear the other side and really come to terms with, you know what, yeah, it is kind of true, man. You know, it's funny how in 1837, you know, we were treated like animals and considered animals, but yet they let us found the first HBCU in 1837 during slavery. Seems to me if someone really thought you were an animal and treated you like an animal, they wouldn't let you found schools. They wouldn't let you establish higher learning educational facilities to educate more black people, specifically for black people.
Or be a Supreme Court justice or the president.
Yeah, a politician, lawyers, doctors. So, you know, I think people are starting to read, the information is starting to come out, and more people are coming to terms with, hey, maybe the things we've been taught all these years aren't really that true. And yeah, you know, if our grandmothers and great grandfathers were able to make it through slavery and make it through Jim Crow and Reconstruction during the most racist points in this country, and they were able to build and thrive and build schools, HBCUs, the vast majority of HBCUs were founded before the Civil Rights era. How do you explain that? You would expect that after the Civil Rights Act, more HBCUs would have been founded by black people because now we have more opportunity. So, like, shit's just not adding up. The math ain't mathing. It ain't making sense. And then people are starting to understand, too, wait a minute, we're only pointing the finger at white people. Yet, if you look at the entire logistical chain of chattel slavery, there were Africans involved. The entire Congolese Empire was built and became prominent off of enslaving other fucking Africans. And it wasn't this, you know, oh, it's not really a slave. You're just my buddy that's just working on my, on my plantation for me. And I'm going to give him his free. No, like, look up the Congolese Empire and the slavery they instilled. They were brutal to other Africans. They were slaughtering, murdering, raping, killing. Like, they were fucking brutal to other Africans. So people are starting to realize it's not fair to only point at one group, when if you look at the entire logistical chain of chattel slavery and black people, there were many other ethnicities involved in it. It wasn't just white people. And I think that's what it's going to take to kind of man. And then always we're going to have a leftover group of people that no matter how much facts and data and common sense you present, they're still going to feel the way that they feel and think the way that they think. And we just got to leave them by the wayside and focus on building America to be the best country and all working.
And I want to suggest as well, you know, I need the black community needs to really come up more than ever, because I remember there was a time they were making advertisements in the what state was that? Tennessee. There was a college there that offered 100% scholarship for black men to come because there wasn't even, you know, the number of black medical doctors have dropped drastically. And everywhere you go, you know, it's just sad. So many things, so many opportunities that I see that the black communities are not even taking advantage of. When you go into the black school, I have been there, my daughter has gone through the place. You know, the kind of education and even the way the black, you know, it's just a lot going on. Like, I am telling you, one of the things we need to do when we say the one that are really pro-black, I don't even care about racism. It's about, you know, bringing ourselves up to where we need to be. That's all that matters to me. The community allows you to be the best version of yourself. They provide everything that can bring you that
now you brought up a point about the church. We all love Jesus, right? We understand that the church has been.
This has nothing to do with church. I don't care about church. I'm a Christian. I go to church.
Lady. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the point Nye made. Nye earlier, if you were listening, mentioned about the church and the black community. So that's what I'm talking about. So relax, calm down. So Nye, something too, and again, this is the problem that I have with black people. We're demanding respect, yet we're presenting ourselves as clowns. And I'll give an example. Glorilla, the rapper, just got the BET Gospel Award presented to her on stage the other day. The church has been a foundational pillar in the black community for fucking generations. Blacks have relied on the church to form families and keep families intact, and it's something very serious in the black community. And yet, we can't even honor something so structurally sound that has kept our community, that kept our community for so many generations in a point of excellence, even though we're going through so much turmoil and strife. But when we show the world that a female rapper who raps about promiscuous sex, freely aborting black kids, killing other black people, selling drugs to other black people, poisoning their own fucking communities, and our community presents them with a gospel award to reflect the word and the mission of God and Jesus Christ, we can't expect anybody to look at us and take us seriously when that's who we're choosing to represent something as sacred as the church. Like, this is the shit we got to start looking at, man. We are making ourselves look like clowns, and then we get upset when people treat us like fucking clowns. We're displaying our bullshit in front of the entire world, man. Like, we got to check this shit. It's not fun.
It's the white man's fault, Sid. That's what they'll say. It's the white man's fault that we're even having this discussion. How dare we not praise Glorilla and give her the gospel award for pushing demonic energy with her lyrics in our community? Let me add to that. We also didn't get any pushback from the Black Collective when Megan Thee Stallion was twerking at the DNC. Notice that nobody blames slavery and the white man for that. They said it was black girl magic. Then I asked why we can't get along, and suddenly it's because the white man said we're not human and we're lazy. Okay, guys. So yeah, to your point, I love my people. I do. I said in a room earlier last week, I love blackness. If I believe in reincarnation, I wouldn't want to come back anything but black. But we do have some clownish energy that kind of dominates the conversation when we're having discussions like this. And I'm going to pray for us. I want us all to join hands, like a circle group, and pray that one day, maybe not this generation, maybe not the generation, Generation X, maybe not the millennials and Generation Z. Maybe one day the generation that hasn't been born yet will rise above the blaming slavery and the white man and white Jesus on all the problems. Okay, maybe I hope I'm alive when that day comes, when we can have these discussions and black people have some concrete, solutions to healing our community, and not always resort to, well, the white man said we're lazy and we're monkeys and we're apes and slavery and, petting zoos. And that's why we hate each other, because that's exhausting. And that's no longer a valid excuse, in my opinion. And I'm done. So you can shut it down whenever.
All right, well, I want to give Folu, Joe B, and Sunan, give you guys the last of the mic to speak. So if you guys want to give a closing statement, we can close it out and everything. And thank you very much. And I had nothing but respect and love for you. I appreciate being in the room with you.
Thank you.
Folu, Joe B, Sunan, you guys want to any closing remarks before we dip out here? Or if anybody else wants to come up and give a closing remark. All right, God, would you like to give a closing remark? We're going to shut the room down.
In the words of Dr. Frankenfurter from the Rocky Horror Picture Show, don't be a dreaming. Go.
No, I mean, so I just appreciate it.
All right, cool. Well, thank you everybody in the audience for Oh, go ahead, Sunan. You got it.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say I think a lot of people have like misconceptions and preconceived ideas of how the world is and stuff. I mean, even myself, I consider myself to be a troll, and an asshole sometimes. But I even have like preconceived ideas. I moved out to West Texas, and my wife's from a tribal group in the Philippines. I used to live in Hong Kong, Singapore, and the Philippines. I met her there, and we were moving out to West Texas, and I'm white, Jewish, Native American, and I thought, well, man, white people in West Texas are probably going to be like the antebellum Appalachia South, and it's going to be a bunch of racist crackers, and they're going to be like just berating us and giving us shit, and like they do in places like Atlanta and stuff where I grew up. And the reality is, you go out to most of the world, nobody cares. People are just like, oh yeah, you have some beautiful kids. Like most people around the world are just working their jobs, they're doing their things, they got their own troubles, their own issues, and most people don't care if you're white or black or they don't care. I mean, you have these small percentage of a-holes out there that make everybody look bad, but the reality is people are just living their lives.
Man, bro, I say the same thing, man. Like these people who have these weird ass fetishes and fantasies about white people going after them and going after black people. I'm like, man, all these white people I've been around and been to the beach with, had beer with, broken bread with, worked with, been in Iraq with, sleeping in the fucking sand with, being out in the woods, wiping our asses with leaves. All these white boys I've been on. White people ain't thinking about black people. I've said it a million times. White people are not waking up at first thing in the morning, kicking their legs over the side of the bed, rubbing their hands together, saying, how am I going to fuck over some niggers? They're just not, man. Most white people are struggling just as rough and as hard as black people. And they're in the same fucking boat, trying to fucking work 2 or 3 jobs just to put gas in their fucking car, just to and put groceries on the table. Like the vast majority of us are rocking the same fucking struggle, man. And it's not conducive to anybody to be divided in this country, especially in this time when everything's so fucking expensive, wages aren't going up, healthcare fucking sucks. It's horrible out here, man, and it's horrible for every fucking body.
Really quickly to that point, it reminds me, I hate to keep beating the dead horse, but as a Gen X woman, I've been working since I'm age 14. I can't tell you the number of jobs, and most of my jobs have been in entertainment business. I've worked in entertainment business for 20 years. Great majority of my jobs, I've been like that token black, the only black in the office, and I never once felt unsafe. And I bring that up because I've heard these younger generations of blacks say, I don't feel safe around white people. I don't feel safe. And it reminds me, we're clearly all living on different timelines or various multiverses. Because I'm like, young brother, young sister, what's going on on your timeline? What are the white folks doing on your timeline where you don't feel safe when you navigate spaces, white spaces? Because I've never felt this way. Okay, even when I was the only Negro in the office, I never felt this way. And let me tell you something. Shout out to the white boss who was always treating us to free lunch. If you are a white man in office right now, you the CEO, take your black employee out to lunch so they feel better about themselves today. Because right now they're probably trembling in their boots. They feel unsafe. Take them to a free lunch. Take them to Chipotle so they feel good.
Same thing, this is what I explain to people. It's like, it's funny how, when I was living in Detroit, in the city, nothing but black people, 90% black people in my neighborhood, nothing. I live around these black people. My whole life I've been told white people are out to get you. White people are going to try to kill you. They're racist. They're going to try to keep you from working and getting a job and promotions and all this other shit. And they're going to keep their boot on your neck. Yeah, when I live around black people who look exactly like me, house got broken into, cars got broken into, gunpoint twice, tires fucking stolen, all kinds of degenerate shit. They literally took the empty plot of land between the houses. It used to be a trap house, but the city came and tore it down. They literally built 2 stages with stripper poles, and they have full nude strippers out in the open on this vacant plot of land for children to see, for women to see, for the elderly to see. So when you're surrounded by all this shit, you're saying, okay, what's that?
Can you post that address?
And then it's like, okay, fine, white people are bad, but this is bad living. I want to live in something better, and it happens to be that I'm moving to a white neighborhood. Wait a minute, my house ain't getting broken into, my cars ain't getting stolen, I'm not getting fucking robbed at gunpoint, nobody's lighting crosses on my fucking front lawn. It's exactly the opposite. The white people are knocking on my door. Hey, welcome to the neighborhood. Here's a zucchini bread we baked for you. Here's some popcorn, some gourmet popcorn we bought for you. Welcome to the neighborhood. When I move around in the black neighborhood, I don't have niggas coming up to my porch and welcoming me and my family to the fucking neighborhood. So, it seems like, again, if we're going to push this narrative that whites hate blacks and whites are out to get blacks, then I would expect better treatment from people that fucking look like me when I do live around them. But we don't see that. We see every time black people get a little bit of money, what's the first thing they do? They go and move right into the lion's den amongst the very white people that they say are out to get them. So shit just ain't mathing. Shit just ain't fucking added up. I think it's a bullshit narrative. Othello shared those stats showing that only 2,900 cases of hate crimes black people report against. So 2,900 people in 2023 said, hey, as a black person, I had a hate crime conducted against me. 2,900 people out of 40 million people, that's 0.00007%. I'd expect that if it was this big of a problem as they're making it out to be, I'd expect it to be higher than a third of a fucking percent. That's all.
Ciao, baby. I say B, Keegan, and Keith have come back, but we really were about to close the room up. But if either of you have any final thoughts, go ahead. B, final thoughts. Keegan, Keith, final thoughts.
I always come in when it's time to close, no matter what room it is, right? Yeah, I mean, hey, we have to all go off our own experiences. Being raised in Portland, Oregon, in the suburbs, I'll be honest, like majority of Oregon is Caucasian. We have not had any collective problems. I'm not going to pretend like oppression and racism doesn't exist. I just haven't experienced it. Like, of course, are there comments? I'll be honest, though, similar to what kind of like you were saying, Sig, is the people that have given me the most grief in my life have been people that look like me, people in my family, people in the community. And dare I say something similar to what you just said? It's the coon, it's the Uncle Tom, it's the bedwench, it's rough in these streets, right? If you don't have the same story as everybody else, you're the other, but are you, right? So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, this is all lived experiences. And it's crazy for me to say I've lived with white people the majority of my life, like the majority of my life. And the only problems I've ever had were like I feel threatened. Like, of course, you got like crazy problems here and there, but when I feel like my life is threatened, like I always use this example, but when I was playing basketball one time, I had my life threatened over basketball. I'm a white guy. I left the park. I was the only white guy at the park. Should have been playing basketball in Michigan. That's what I say. Sick, I know better. And but yeah. I this is the actual problem. Is that the only time I've had my life threatened is from black people. I'm not saying all black people are terrible. I love black people. I really enjoy. I actually enjoy being with certain people that are black. But for some reason, it's like you get into trailer park, and trailer park people I've spent my whole life with, they are I'm not from the trailer park, but I know a lot of trailer park people. They are like drug users, and they like to drink alcohol a lot, and they're gonna go shooting, and they like to go mudding, and like they're just rednecks, right? They're just like hate people, and they might fight here and there, but there's no murders. But then when you go around black people, it's like gang violence and gun use and like inappropriate gun use, like not for hunting or shooting, like they like just hold pistols out, and it's just crazy to me. So, but that considered, I'm racist for saying that. So I guess at the end of the day, I always say stereotypes are for safety, and you have to use them to your own opinions to understand how to see the world.
Well, I always like to give a shout out to the white folks, to the white man specifically, for giving us Breaking Bad, The X-Files, Led Zeppelin, The Doors, and of course Doctor Who. And
you and that Doctor Who girl.
I love me some Doctor Who. Okay. And Leonard Skinner. Okay.
And Travis Barker.
Thank you to the white man who financed Jimi Hendrix. And shout out to Keanu Reeves if he happens to be anything on the
Nye, did you see the ending of the last season?
And I'm heartbroken. By the way,
Rose is coming back.
Is she though? I interviewed the
I hope so.
Ooh, it'll be interesting. Now, if they bring back Rose, they have to bring back David Tennant, at least in a guest appearance. Shout out to David Tennant, one of the mightiest white men on the planet. Doctor Who, right?
Oh, and his role that he played in Lex Steele. Remember when he was the guy that could tell you to do anything? He'd be like, "Go fuck yourself," and then you would literally go fuck yourself. That was it. Super.
Wait a minute, I don't know that one. Was that
It was the Marvel show.
Oh, yeah.
Lex Steele.
Yeah.
So Jessica Jones.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, it's Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right on.
Yeah, his character was pretty good.
All right, that's it, Sig. That's all I got. If we want to shut it down, I'm gonna go ahead and shut it down. Be peaceful. Be on the lookout for me and Monica might be hosting a room. White Fear, Black Fatigue 2.0.
Oh, that should be good. That should be good.
What's the title, babe? One more time. What'd you say?
White Fear / Black Fatigue 2.0. I got to get with Monica. She's still down, so that'll probably be going down this week. So get ready. I'll be called all types of bed winches and coons and maggots when we host that room.
Probably by Monica.
I was gonna say too. Nah, you were sounding pretty coonish earlier. I just had to let you know that. So. I was about to pull your black card.
I gotta change my PTR to dirty cave bitch. Black man called me a dirty cave bitch last week because I defended the black gay man. So I gotta change my PTR.
Oh, that's right. Right. I was just a bitch.
Yeah. And I was wondering to myself, I wonder if the cave that he claims I come from is that cave that they claims connects Latin America to Egypt. Boy, I hope I'm the queen of that cave. Now I just need to learn how to turn dirt and rocks into fire, and I'll really be winning as the queen cave bitch.
All right, Nye, I'm going to ask you something that's going to piss off black people. I don't know if you're single or not, but if you were single, would you hook up with David Tennant?
Are you asking me, have I sucked white dick? Sure, and it tastes like...
No, David Tennant specifically.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
What did it taste like?
My perverted mind went somewhere else. I have the mind of a deviant. Would I bang out David Tennant? Absolutely. Are you kidding me? I heard he was a freak. Yes, let's get it.
What did it taste like, Nye? One more time? I missed that.
Like ice cream.
White dick tastes like chocolate. White dick tastes like chocolate. To piss off all the black militants in the room. Sorry. Sorry, I couldn't resist. I like to troll sometimes. They already hate me on this app, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, on that note, we're going to go ahead and shut down the room. Don't burn down my Starbucks because I said white dick tastes like chocolate. Leave me alone. Don't be in my back channels with the bullshit. I'm just going to block you. Y'all be peaceful. Go pray. Go pray to white
Jesus. Not white Jesus.
Field, they didn't waste the missile. So that increased the takedown rate to about 95+%, maybe 96, some number like that. But it's a layered air defense system. The primary weapons are the Arrow 3 for high altitude intercepts, then David Sling for medium altitude intercepts. And they don't have the same accuracy or takedown rate because the theater ballistic missiles are traveling.
Before you go, I just want to add one thing. So, relate to Gaza, the Judean-Samaritan Act, religious Zionism infiltrates U.S. law. The passing of the Recognizing Judean-Samaritan Arkansas legitimized. So they already passed a law that's called Judean-Samaritan, the West Bank.
What is Arkansas? Why did you say Arkansas? State law?
The passing of the Recognizing Judea-Samaria Act in Arkansas legitimized the language of Israel's illegal occupation. So other U.S. states rejected. Yep.
Yeah, but if we got a state to recognize all of Israel as Palestine, that would be considered anti-Semitic. And